So in this week's tutorial I'm going to show you how to do the camel stitch. Now the camel stitch is a lovely stitch for providing you with some little ribbing and some decorative texture to your work. Really lovely stitch, easy to do. You only need to know how to do your half trebles or your half doubles if you're using US terminology. Tricky bit, well, you have to find out, to keep watching. Hello, my name's Karen Stangram and welcome to Conquer Crochet, the channel for tips, tricks and techniques for conquering your crochet. Everything I talk about in today's video will be linked in the descriptions below. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss a single stitch. So if you're keen to get going with this video, give me a thumbs up and let's do this. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using a Starcraft Aran. This is in the colourway Empire. It's a really nice sort of tealy blue colour. I'm going to be using 4.5mm crochet hook, scissors for cutting off my end and my needle for sewing in my ends. So we're going to begin by making a slip knot, and you can do this in whichever way you prefer. And we're going to make our foundation row of chains for the basis of our blankets. Now there isn't a set number of multiples you need to do for this pattern. So I'm just going to do 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So pause the video now whilst you do your foundation chain for the number of chains that you want yours to be. So I've done my foundation chain of 20. I'm now going to chain 2 more, which are going to be my turning chains. So for the next row we're going to be doing half trebles. In US terminology that would be half doubles, and we're going to work into the 3rd chain from the hook. So we don't count the one on the hook, so we go 1, 2, 3 and we yarn over, insert into that 3rd chain from the hook, yarn over, pull back through, and then we yarn over and pull through all 3 loops that are on our hook. So I do that again, so we yarn over, insert into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 on your hook, yarn over, insert into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, and you're going to continue doing this all the way down this row. So a first row of half trebles. So pause the video now whilst you work your way down the row. So I've just finished my row of half trebles. I'm now going to go to the next row and I'm going to chain 2. This chain 2 is not going to count as a stitch. I'm going to turn our work, so because it's not counting as a stitch we can work into the stitch here. We don't skip this bit and move on. So for this camel stitch we're going to be going through the back bar. So normally we'd go through these 2 parts of the stitch here. You can see at the top there's like a V shape. That's where we would normally go. We're going to be going into this bar, and you can see behind each of the stitches there's this little bar that comes across, and we're going to be going into that bar there. So what we need to do is to yarn over, go through and behind that back bar, not touching the stitch at all, so you may need to just twist your work around. So we go through that stitch, yarn over, pull back through behind that back bar. You've got your 3 loops on your hook, you yarn over and you pull through all 3. Do that one again, so yarn over. Now be careful because we've worked this stitch here already. So yarn over into the next one, yarn over, pull back through, you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And what you'll find is it's starting to push what we would normally go into the top of the stitch. It's starting to push it forward so that those back stitches are a bit more proud now and you're able to actually see them more easily. So that first one is really the trickiest one to get through, but we can more easily find them as we go along. So we work our way down our row, yarn over into the next back bar, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Again into the back bar, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're just going to work our way all the way down this row, working our half trebles or half doubles if you're in the US, all the way down our row. So pause the video now. So I've just come to the end of the second row and I'm about to start the third row. So this is the back of the work, and if I just flip it over you can see what the front of the work looks like, and you get this sort of almost a plait, like a braid coming down the centre of your work, and that's because we went into that back bar and we've pushed the stitches forward. These would have been the top of the stitches that we would have gone into, but because we went into the back bar it's just pushed those forward slightly. So for the next row we're going to chain 2, again this doesn't count, and we're going to turn our work. So we still want to continue working into the back bar, but we're working into the back bar on this side. So here's the 2 chain that we've just done. Now ordinarily we'd be going through this part of the stitch here. But what we're going to do is to go through the back bar, which is here. Let me just put the needle through the back bar there. And that's the stitch we're going to go through. All the way down the row, this back stitch here. Okay. So I've chained 2, I'm turning my work, and I'm going to do my back bar half treble again. Now if you find it easier you can turn your work, and it's worth having a play around depending how you hold your crochet hook, might depend how you want to do this. So I've turned my work over, I'm going through this back bar here, so I'm going to yarn over as I would for any half treble, insert through that back bar, yarn over and pull through. I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. I'm now going to go through this back bar here, so yarn over, through the back bar, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, now going into the next stitch, so I'm going to go into the next back bar, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull back through. Let's see if I can get really close with this one. So yarn over, this is the stitch we're working into, but we're going into the back bar, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. This is the stitch we're going into, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. And if I just show you what the front looks like now. So we now started building this second braid going along our work. Okay, so that was the first one, which we did whilst we were working on the wrong side, but when we're on the right side we have to flip it over slightly. And I would suggest counting your stitches to make sure you have the right number, because it's very easy to think, oh right, I'm going through here, or I'm going through here and here. So make sure you're counting your stitches. Your back bar will be the one straight after the top stitches. So those are the 2 parts of the stitch. The back bar is the diagonal one here. So you yarn over, underneath the back bar, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. So pause the video now whilst you complete your row of back bars with half trebles. So I've come to the end of my row and I've gone into my last back bar. If you wanted to, you could go into the back stitch of the last stitch. It's a personal preference, whichever you prefer to do. So I'm going to chain 2, I'm going to turn my work, and basically all we're going to do now is to repeat rows 2 and 3 all the way through. So we're now on the wrong side of our work. Remember, this stitch does not count as a stitch, So this chain does not count as a stitch. So we're going to yarn over, there's the stitch we would ordinarily go through, and we're going through the back bar. And we just continue in the same way all the way down this row, and then when we get to the next row we're going to be working in the back bars, but from the front with that awkward having to turn everything over. So I've just worked up a few more rows of this stitch for you to have a closer look at. So it's a little bit like a ribbed stitch, so you can see as I roll that around you can see the ribbing. So this is the right side. On the wrong side you just get a nice flat background, which sometimes you don't get with some ribbing. You end up with a sort of seam going down the side, which isn't quite so nice. And when you stretch it, it's not too holey, so it'd be quite a nice one to do for a blanket. Something you might want to do if you were doing some ribbing at the bottom of a garment. Might be quite a nice stitch to use. And that's how to do the camel stitch. I really hope you found today's tutorial useful. If there are any information that you need to find out about this video, have a look in the descriptions below where I post all the links to any freebies and other videos I think you might find useful. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this video, to give me a thumbs up below. Don't forget also to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you've enjoyed it and you'd like to see more of my tutorial videos. There are 2 other videos on screen to help you on your crochet journey, and I will see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and happy hooking!